We are here for our June meetup with Python Milano. Just a few words from Giuliana, which is our host here with Giuliana from WeHunt.
Thank you. Just a few words because I don't want to be much more out of scope. I am Giuliana Micali and I'm an headhunter in the technology field, but don't worry, I will not going to contact you on LinkedIn after this meetup, so relax. WeHunt is an headhunting company and this is our headquarters in Milan. This was the house of Ferdinando Bocconi, that is the founder of Bocconi University. Okay, just to know where we are today. For us, it's the second time that we have the opportunity to have you here, and it's also a big opportunity for me. So thanks to everyone about the community. And if you need anything or like everything, just ask me. Okay, enjoy your meetup.
Thank you. Okay, just a couple of words about the group. So we are Python Milano, and we do stuff. We do 2 monthly meetups, one Python Milano, which is this one, and the other is PyData Milano. We do a podcast in Italian, which is Intervista Pythonista. We do Py beers, and this year in March we did also a conference, Py for AI in Pavia. This is our QR code, which is basically milano.python.it. Here you can find our Slack channel and YouTube channel. Okay, all the channels. Okay, thank you to Python Italia for giving us the microphones for the podcast and a lot of support from the community. And also to Division Lab that buy us the the hardware for streaming. So thank you, Alessandro, which is the guy over there. And okay, next April 25th, we will have PyData meetup, right, Pietro? It's
yes,
in Microsoft.
In April.
It will be.
Oh, sorry, it's June.
June 25th.
Yeah, this is me not correcting well.
Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's my fault. It's June 25th. And that's it. So I leave the word to Andrea and Nicholas for the first talk. And a big applause. Thank you.
I'll go first.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, hello folks. Ciao is the only word in Italian that I know. So ciao. And pizza. Yeah, I probably know a lot of Italian words. I just don't know their Italian words. Anyway, so if I talk too fast or you can't hear me at the back or anything like that, please just do let me know. I want to make sure that we have a good time here. I'm only going to speak relatively briefly, and most of the talk will be my colleague, Andrea. My name's Nicholas. I'm principal engineer on the PyScript team at Anaconda. Anaconda created and sponsor the open source project that is PyScript. I'd love a show of hands. How many of you have heard of PyScript? I'd say that's perhaps just above half. Okay, so for those of you who haven't put your hands up, and just to give everybody else a quick recap, PyScript is a platform for running Python in the browser. How does it work? Well, it's very interesting. I'm sure you've probably heard of WebAssembly or WASM. WebAssembly is an instruction set for a kind of a virtual CPU that the browser understands. And thanks to a technology and a compiler toolchain called mscripton, what you can do is you can take regular C code and compile it to WebAssembly and then run it in the browser. Now, as you know, CPython is written in C. MicroPython, which is a version of Python for microcontrollers, which will feature quite heavily in this talk as well, is also written in C. And so we have taken these upstream projects. The CPython version of Python compiled into WASM is called Pyodide, by the way, and they've been running since about 2017 and have done an amazing job. They've been the trailblazers with this. And so we've taken these runtimes and we've built a kind of a platform around it, and that's PyScript. So it makes it very easy to actually use Python in the browser, because often you might need to set things up if you want to use MicroPython and Pyodide and things like that. With PyScript, as you'll see, you just need to put a script tag in the head of your HTML document that references a version of PyScript, and then you have Python in the browser. It's as simple as that, okay? So
I actually had a...
yeah, you see my glamorous assistant over here has been doing the slides for me. So now, proper Python, i.e. the Python that you use on your desktop or in the cloud or wherever, now runs anywhere a browser runs, which honestly is everywhere, really. Thanks to MicroPython, it runs especially well on mobile devices as well. What features do we have? Well, I don't want to play PowerPoint karaoke with you and just read out a whole bunch of bullet points. But essentially, there are some really cool, awesome features. For a start, you can choose which interpreter you want. If you want everything but the kitchen sink, you know, all the wonderful Python ecosystem, you use Pyodide as your interpreter. If you want something very, 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 very fast and very quick and works really well on mobile, but it's more constrained, a more efficient implementation of Python, then you use MicroPython, okay? You can use both at the same time. There is a technology called web workers, which is a bit like starting a sub-process on your web page. And so an idiom that we're watching emerge in our community is people will start PyScript with MicroPython in the main thread of the browser, which is probably where most of you are used to using, say, JavaScript, okay? MicroPython is quick, it doesn't block, etc. But it will start on a web worker, Pyodide. So you now have the power of CPython working in a non-blocking manner over on the web worker as well, okay? So I think I've covered everything. It's very configurable. So if you imagine your browser tab is like your virtual environment, so it's isolated as well. When you go and visit the web page where your PyScript app is hosted, then all you need to do is actually just serve static assets from wherever it is that you're hosting, and Python is running in your browser. Now, you might go, well, how do I host these wonderful PyScript apps? Well, Anaconda, because this is an experiment in supporting an open source project, PyScript, we have pyscript.com. And that is a place where you can just sign up. It's very easy to do. It's free to get an account. You get an editor, but it's also a hosting platform as well. And it has certain services around it that will allow you to kind of access APIs through a proxy and things like that. Okay, all the kind of stuff that you might need. Okay, so the first thing you should do if you want to have a play with PyScript is go to pyscript.com and sign up and have a play there. If you go to pyscript.net, that is the homepage for the open source project. Everything we're going to show you today is open source. So if you enjoy what you see, turn up. We would love to see you. And I think, is there another slide for me?
No, but I just zoomed in so that they can try d.ly 8tr0o if they don't want to see it working on the terminal on mobile phone.
Okay. So if you go to pyscript.net, hopefully you'll see
as well. Yes.
Yeah, pyscript.net. You'll see a Python terminal. That's MicroPython running, actual Python running in the browser on your mobile phone. And if you want, you can start to type print hello world or whatever. I wouldn't advise you to do that, but the point is that you have it there. Okay. Now I mentioned that. Have I got another slide after this, or is?
We have demo after.
Okay, demo after this. So this is at this point where I have to just talk a little bit because we're going to be swapping screens because I need to share my screen now just to give you a little sort of demo of things here. So let's see what happens. If you see smoke, please do tell me. Okay. Let me just mirror, apply. Oh, okay.
We forgot this bit.
Yeah, we forgot this bit. Keep these settings, so you don't want to see that. Okay, so this is PyScript.net. Okay, if I refresh the page, if you're wondering, well, how fast is PyScript? It's that fast. Okay, that was a browser refresh. Now, I've put some magic kind of Python. This is Python driving the terminal at the moment, but now it's handed control over to me. So, I don't know, print hello Python Milan. There we go. It's Python running in the browser. Woo! Yeah, round of applause. Honestly, a round of applause. You wouldn't believe the engineering effort that went into making that print hello world happen on that screen. Okay, now, now as I mentioned, PyScript is an open source project, and we thought as a piece of fun, we would show you that in action. So I just want to bring your attention to, for instance, our Discord server over here. It's called PyScript, unsurprisingly. So if you're on Discord, go and find the PyScript server. Come say hello and what have you. And clearly, I've been sort of bragging to the other people who are on our Discord servers. Go, wow, this is sort of this palatial place where Python Milan have their meetings. You should come along and have a look. So I've never given a talk where there have been cherubs in the room. It's incredible, honestly. I'm not talking about you lot either. I'm talking about the pictures on the side. So. Join us on Discord, okay? But of course, like many open source projects, we do stuff on GitHub. So the organization you want to go and see is PyScript, and the project is PyScript, unsurprisingly. But we thought, because we're idiots, really, wouldn't it be great if we cut a new release of PyScript live in front of you folks? So that's what I've done. So in the UK, we have a kids program called Blue Peter, where they always say, I'm going to give you a demo, but here's one I prepared earlier, which they do, and they, here's one I prepared earlier. So this is the, we use Calverse, so calendar-based versioning. So this is the first release in June in 2024, okay? So here's the release notes that, that Andrea wrote earlier on, and I'm going to publish this release, publishing, okay? There we go, and if I go look at the actions, we can see that we are actually publishing the release. Cool. And at the same time, we need to update our docs as well. Again, this is the update. Andrea's been correcting my English, which is always good fun. And so if I merge this, confirm merge, and go take a look at our GitHub actions here, we should be able to see that, yep, that's running as well. And this is working. So I'll let that carry on like that for the time being. Just a bit of history. PyScript was only introduced 2 years ago, okay, in a keynote given by, please sort of maybe clap when it goes green so I know that the GitHub action's finished. Given by the CEO of Anaconda, Peter Wang. Anaconda put the first draft of PyScript together and then seeded it as an open source project because Anaconda is an awesome company. Yeah, I work for Anaconda, clearly I would say that, but honestly, there aren't that many companies who support open source like Anaconda do. So really, we should be very thankful to the support and the vision of the people at Anaconda.
Success.
Hey. Okay, so let's see. Oh, and the docs have done it as well. So if I now refresh here, we should see. Okay, so this is the release, and we should see in a second, once it's downloaded, there we go. So we can see that Python version 3.12 of Pyodide is the kind of the default that we're using, okay? And then if I go to here, we will see our release, okay? And if I go here, we should see the latest, yeah. Okay, so we are all deployed. So here's another one I prepared earlier. This is the kind of the announcement. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, in our internal Slack, tell people, ciao from Milan. We've got a new release out. And over on our Discord server, I can say, ciao from Milan. We have a new release. Everybody needs to hear that, and I'm going to stick it in the announcements as well. Okay. This is typical open source development, but I want you to see that that we are an open source project. So we love it when people turn up to our goofy meetings. We have community calls. People turn up with the strangest things to demo. You'll see some of that in a moment. I know we've got folks in the US watching us live now who turn up and demo stuff. And it's a friendly, small, but growing community, okay? So if you want to be a part of a growing community, PyScript is a good place to be as well. And go and play, really. PyScript is all about being playful, okay? And it's the sort of thing where, you know, your grandma might go, so what do you do, Fred? And you go, well, I work with computers. And she goes, oh, could you fix my printer then? And you go, no, not like that. Okay, go to this URL, grandma, and then there's your app. I wrote that. Oh, that's lovely. Okay, there's a really nice feeling, and I know this because, let's face it, deploying Python apps to non-technical users is not a pleasant experience, because if that app requires you to go, well, first of all, you've got to install Python, and then you've got to pip install this thing. Well, how do you pip install? Open the terminal, grandma. Well, I don't know what a terminal is. And then you're in an infinite loop of pain, really, okay? So one of the advantages of PyScript is it's so easy to deploy. The last thing I want to say is that if the web and Python, two of the most diverse and dynamic technical ecosystems, had a baby, it would look something like PyScript. And one of the wonderful things that we have to figure out, I'm a Python developer, Andrea here is, he's a JavaScript developer. He's a JavaScript developer, ooh. But I just, no, don't do that, because you should be giving him a round of applause, because the first version of PyScript came in at 0.5 megabytes, okay? Thanks to the rewrite that Andrea architected and executed, it's now about 42K, okay? And it's more powerful, and it's faster. You've got multiple interpreters, and there are web workers and all of this. And that's because it's not a bunch of Pythonistas who know a little bit about the browser building it. You've got Web Yoda, which is his nickname in the team, creating this sort of stuff. So I just want to very publicly thank Andrea for the amazing work that he's done. At the end, there will be questions, so just ask questions. We love it when you ask questions. I'm going to hand over to Andrea, who's going to give you some more practical examples of PyScript in action.
If I manage, because I don't know if I'm still screen sharing the thing. Can you see it?
You have to do also the...
Yeah,
It says
the weather coming in from the east.
No,
yes.
I'm screen sharing for sure. I'm not sure if the video is going. No, when I remove the cable, something happened.
Can you see it?
Nope. Should I refresh?
1 second.
And try again?
Okay.
Refresh, same link, and try again. All right.
So for people watching at home, we're just doing technical stuff. Okay. The weather's lovely in Milan. For those of you not in Milan, on the internet.
Here we go.
There's no weather on the internet, you see.
I think I'm sharing. Am I sharing?
Okay. We have infinite screens there.
Go.
Are we good? We getting thumbs up? Okay.
All right. All right. So thanks a lot for the premature applause. At least, at least I got that. Yeah, I think Nicolas summarized pretty much everything, except maybe we can talk about the why. But the why, he said almost all of it. One thing for me, for myself personally, is that as a JavaScript developer, I always hoped what? Yeah. Sorry. I always wanted this dream of write once, run everywhere. They sold me the web supposed to be that dream, which is kind of true because you can create web apps and it runs everywhere. But at the same time, they told me also the JavaScript would be that programming language that does it. Long story short, it's actually recently MicroPython that is doing that. So it literally runs everywhere, and now it runs even in a browser. So the demo are going to be boring, the first three, because, or the first two at least, but it's basically the journey that brought us to where we are now. First thing first, you've seen that already, I think, which is what Nicolas showed, and also should go full screen and zoom. Yes, definitely I should zoom. And so this is latest MicroPython that has been published just a few days ago, and And we are running on main thread. And you can see, again, that I can refresh, and it's almost instantly. I actually didn't see the refresh because it didn't refresh, because the terminal is catching all my keystrokes. But here we are. We can do the print thing, which is OK, but not super interesting. We can do a def test that automatically gives me all the indentation, all the things, and we would return 1+2. Then we can get out, do test, and see, oops, and see errors, which is also important. What's next? We're on the main thread, and now we're going to have some difficulty to do stuff like input. So I want variable A to be input, and then I'm going to ask a question. Where are you? On the main thread, unfortunately, because in Python input is blocking, there's not really any good solution except this one. Can you see it? So this is a prompt. It's a blocking thing on the web that comes from 25 years ago, I don't know. And then you can type in there. It's all good. So A is Milan. So this works, sort of, but it's not super elegant, and it's blocking. It's fully blocking. If the page had some animation, something going on behind the scene, it would be fully blocked, which is very bad. At the same time, what else? Let's say I do import time, and then I do for I in range 0.5 print I, and then time sleep 1. So what I'm expecting here is to see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 every second. But we are blocking in this loop, so we have to count up to 5 before we can see anything at all. That's because a while through or any loop will inevitably block because it's executing on the main thread. And so this is cool that Python is working this way. And if you're wondering what is this about, this is just a way to simplify a paste of big files instead of just these 3 that I should print 42 at least. But these are some limitations, and it's bad if you try to do more complex things on the main thread. You don't want the WebAssembly ever blocking the rest of your page, the rest of your logic. And so what's the difference with the worker? The difference is that, well, you can guess already. The difference is that we are running in a worker, which for the web is like a separate thread. And even if we block stuff in there, so the same thing I've done before. Actually, let me show you, because this is all running in PyScript.com. So we go to the current page where I created this. And
so just to say,
yeah.
If you had a PyScript.com account, he could share the link to his code, and then just like with it's like Git Lite here, you could clone that as well. So when we have our documentation, we always put our examples on PyScript.com. You want to play around with it, clone it into your account, break it all you want. When you've broken it so it doesn't work, delete it, clone it again, etc. It's nice and easy to do.
So first of all, we say it's simple at some point, or maybe nobody said that, but it's actually pretty simple. So we land on the page, some CSS and some core JS, which is actually PyScript. And right now, I'm not using the release because the release never happened before this talk. So I'm using the latest from NPM, which has been published right before the release, and it's showing the latest, what you will find in the current release. Here I'm using a script, a Python script, just as a module. And I have a type mpy for MicroPython. And if you want to see what's in there, so in there, I'm just grabbing some element from the DOM and then adding a listener to the DOM and a sync listener. And go, Nicholas.
Yeah, just want to point out, for those of you who are already familiar with the browser, we have an FFI, a foreign function interface, that plugs Python into browser technology, which means you can just call into the DOM. Anything that a browser can do, now Python can do that as well. So we see that up here in the PyScript namespace from PyScript, import document and window. That gives you the same document object that you find in JavaScript and window object that you get in JavaScript as well. And then the same APIs that you would read up on MDN or whatever, W3 schools and things like that, it's exactly the same, okay? But behind the scenes, the FFI is converting your Python via the proxy objects that it provides to you into the JavaScript world. So it just works. It should just work. Sorry,
Thanks,
Andrea.
Nicholas.
Yeah.
So, long story short, this little Python module or helper is just defining an asynchronous click event that I want to use the prompt only to copy and paste more lines like you've seen before. And if we see the preview, we have this button. And now what I'm gonna copy and paste is this. So the same thing we have done before, the import time for I in range 0 to 5, print I, and then you will see that it's streaming. So it doesn't matter if it blocks on the worker side, the worker will never block the main thread. And so things can happen behind the scene.
Just so that you know, and I'm sorry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very important that you realize that what's happening is that this is like inter-process communication or inter-thread communication.
Yes. And from the worker, you can also reach whatever happens on the main thread with ease, with the same ease. You just import from PyScript document and window. You're going to have exactly the same document and window that you would have on the main thread. Last thing is like this time is input, still the same. Where are you? So we can see that now we don't need the prompt. It's actually working like a proper terminal. So still Milan. And that's it. And it's not blocking the page. And I can even click stuff around while this thing happens. And let me try again. So this is waiting, but I can still ask for a prompt. I can move around. There's nothing stopping me to do, still Milan, stopping me to do anything else. So this is cool. I'm using this page is beside our core module, which is something that you should learn through our documentation, but you're not expected to use it directly, even if you could. This page is fully driven by MicroPython, WebAssembly, and it's super snappy. And that's cool and everything. And that's still the web. But at some point, I thought, OK, enough with this web thing. I wanna do more than that. I want to write MicroPython through the web that drives MicroPython in a board. And that's where we are right now. This demo is going to be slightly different. Before we can see a terminal, I need to connect. And let's start with one of the most popular boards, which is Raspberry Pico. And it's not going to do much right now. But you can see that I can connect my Pico. This is just blinking because there is a main. Oh, I missed the C's.
Yeah.
Let me show you on camera that there is an LED blinking. Not my face. Look, focus on the LED. And now I'm going to put my face away for a little bit. Now I'm going to connect. So I'm going to connect to this board. And you see, while I was connecting, the Pico went out of its loop. There is a while loop in it. And I want to toggle the LED. Still not my face. LED with the button. So I click the button, and of course this happens. I click the button. Oh, that's cool, actually. You can see it's switched off.
Hey.
On, off.
Woo.
Cool. A bit boring if you want, but what's cool? What's cooler than just a button is a touchscreen. So how about this board? This board is a CircuitPython. So now I'm writing MicroPython on the web to drive CircuitPython on the board, which is slightly different. I don't see the board. Do I see the board?
So the important thing to know here is that behind the scenes, MicroPython via the FFI is talking to the web USB serial API that the browser provides And it's that web USB serial connection that is being made to the MicroPython boards that Andrea is holding there. So it's kind of like a big plumbing job.
Yep. Right now, I have to import something. So I prepared a toggle file, toggle.py, from toggle import LED and loop. And now you can see the board switched. So the moment I import that file, there is some bootstrap logic. I don't see it. Some bootstrap logic, and now I have a visual thing on a board, and I can still through the web play with it. And this is me just playing with it, but I can also do something like loop, and this time is a physical interaction. So I will be a very bad TV presenter. Gosh, okay.
Hey!
Yeah, you can see. Yeah,
It's a new video
working.
game.
So, yeah.
Click the button.
It should be some sort of new test if you're drunk or anything, if you manage to. Okay, yeah, so cool. Another cool thing is that, again, you can, I've tried, I don't know how many boards, older, newer, but now we're going to try with the Spike. Lovely Spike. And now, because I can recognize through the board name, which is exposed in the program, I can recognize it's a Spike. And you can see now I have an input field instead of a toggle LED. Sorry, Nicholas, I will say LED forever because that's how it sounds in Italian. Hi. Pi Milan. And let's see what happens. I press enter, and you should see hi.
Hey.
Pi Milan. So that's, I have other boards if you want, but they probably, I tell you they're going to work. I want to show you something because this is probably more interesting as in terms of demo. I mean, the other one was okay, but this one is about boards and the fact that it's still fully Pythonic, but this is one thing. So MicroPython or Python in general on the web is something relatively new, while there is a huge amount of JavaScript modules that to solve mostly every issue or any task on the web. That's why we offer also the ability to create, to import directly in your project some external module. In this case, the index toml is actually a config. I should have called it config toml. In this case, we are telling to PyScript to bring in a couple of ECMAScript modules or JS modules. One is called codedent, named in here as dedent, and the other one is micro-REPL serial as a micro underscore REPL, which is the functionality you've seen so far. Is this a foreign module that just connects? So the responsibility is just to connect by serial USB port to the board and provide some information, allow code evaluation, and we will see that now. So in my index.py, you can see that I'm importing a JavaScript module into the MicroPython world, and I can do that in both the main thread or the worker thread. It doesn't really matter. And at this point, I bootstrap my board with onConnect, where we'll, you've seen before, if it's a Spike Prime, that's the board name. I actually show an input and react on key down events. Otherwise, it's a toggle, and I actually have logic per each board that toggles the LED on or off. And then I can react to disconnect event. You have seen me unplugging boards with no error on the screen whatsoever, and I kept connecting all the other boards without issues. That's thanks to on disconnect that resets somehow the page state. So we have full control of what happens in the foreign world into our MicroPython world, which is running on the web world. This is the board. And yeah, and this is the whole logic you've seen so far for the demo is just this. It's not even 50 lines of Python code. I know there is a talk after this one about bad practices. I'm not a Python person, so probably there are a lot of bad practices in everything I've shown so far. But please bear with me. It's just, for me, it was like, hey, it works.
You're fine.
Okay.
The Python gods have spoken. You're good.
What else? I can also import stuff from events. Oh, so yes, this is just an utility. So you can have modules. You can have your config pointing at files on the server that are bootstrapped into the Pyodide or MicroPython virtual file system, because even the file system runs through WebAssembly or mscript and instrumentation of the file system.
That's the file system in the browser tab. That's not your file system on your machine. Honestly, I explain this at least 3 times a week to new PyScript users. So while I've got you all here, let me all explain it all at once. It's the file system in the browser tab. It's all sandboxed there, which is a good thing as well. Just one point. If he was using Pyodide, he could put in his config, he could put packages equals and then a list of packages from PyPI, Matplotlib, whatever, and it would just download it for you from Matplotlib into the tab.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. And, okay, don't want to steal your thunder.
Thanks for the spoiler. And,
sorry. Man.
I will just quickly show what's running inside this board. So the Pico is running just this. The reason is there is a try except is because when you connect the board and you don't connect through the serial, it just runs the loop. As soon as you connect, it gets out with an exception from that loop. And that's why you have seen REPL at the very beginning. But from that time on, this reference, this LED is available through the MicroPython and hence through the web page, listeners, events, and everything else. The portal was more or less probably a bit more complex, but still nothing. This is actually a copy and paste from somewhere. And so all I've done is export an LED and a loop to do what I was doing before, which is while through. And you can see also this is like a worker. So because it's running in the board, if the board gets stuck, I don't care on the main thread. I can actually disconnect, force disconnect, Control-C, Control-Z, and that will work too. The 0Pi is this thing, which is lovely, but it's like an AirPi Pico, the NanoPi. So you can just write little code, put in there, you expose some variable, and then from the website of Affair, you just connect, let's see, sorry, where is the events? You just eval code in the board, and what's a lovely way to pass variables to a foreign evaluation and have some result back? Well, in this case, I'm just doing JSON dumps because as an argument, it works pretty well. It's actually simple enough, and it works. And so in this case, I'm writing values or reading values. In this case, I don't need to JSON dump anything, but I can eval LED off, LED on, and this is all through the serial port communicating in a synchronous way orchestrated by this lovely library. And that's enough of REPL talk. Now, where are we? Beside the REPL. Not here. But there are also other contributors that created not just a boring REPL or an LED on-off. They created something way better and that can show much more what we can do with the whole stack. So these are just some showcases of a library called LTK, which is built on PyScript. And the thing that happened here is amazing. So you have full UI that is bootstrapping on SpeedLight through MicroPython and is creating charts and graph, and you can connect things, and you can do so many things.
This is all Python.
Yeah, this is all Python
all
code.
Python in the browser.
And there was a map, there was a chess game, there are instructions to do, you can move stuff around. You can click point and change something. I don't know, actually, I didn't use this before, but it's just, you can load data, run data, share data within the same tab, and you can also,
So what, Chris, let's just
this
say who
is
this
Chris,
is.
yeah.
This is a guy, nothing to do with PyScript in terms of, he's not a core maintainer or anything. He's just decided to build a spreadsheet, as you do, on top of PyScript, because why not? And what it looks like, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Gets the gods.
Yeah. The demo. Clearly, we didn't sacrifice enough chickens this morning.
No.
Or something like that. But he's got things like, you know, a simple chess.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to
in the browser, running on a spreadsheet. So there's so many levels of kind of abstraction. You've kind of got WebAssembly, then you've got Pyodide and MicroPython, you've got PyScript, and then you've got LTK, which Chris authored. Then you've got PySheets, which is this thing, and then on top of that, you've got a chess engine, and then on top of that, you've got an AI that will play you with chess, and it's this big tower of stuff. And it's all just running
Pandas,
Matplotlib, anything that you can do in regular Python is mostly available in the browser.
Yeah. And, well, I think I wanted to leave some time for question and answer.
Yeah.
We wanted to leave some time for question and answer. But you can find documentation and the editor, but also we have a few examples in the PyScript.net. There is also an example page where you can test various things. And maybe I can go there just quickly. Here.
I think our Wi-Fi's
Slightly slow, right?
gone kaput.
Regardless,
There we go, there we go.
I managed to show almost everything. So, anything you want to?
Let's try the DeckGL, the New York City taxi panel. That might take a time to load, which will make left a bit.
This one?
Oh, that, yeah. Try that one.
The heaviest one? Great choice. Let's see if
Let's
it
see
works.
what happens. If you feel your ears popping, that's the sound of the internet kind of.
Okay.
So here we go.
Oh, something is
No,
happening.
it's downloading stuff. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum.
Oops.
Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. So while that's loading, are there? I mean, Andrea, have you finished? Because we can start answering questions while that's loading. So that's it from us. It's over to you. That was almost a round of applause. That's it from us. Over to you.
Come on, they applauded already at the beginning.
Yeah, too many times. You need a microphone. So
Yes.
There we go.
True.
Okay. Any questions for the audience? Ooh. The fastest people.
We probably need to be close.
Hello, thanks. Thank you. Great talk. Just curious, maybe I missed that because I'm on the back, but I'm curious to know how do you emulate the interface with the operative system? So for example, if you have Python software that draws on something, where do you draw? On a canvas, I guess? Yes. What about the rest of the OS? And what about the rest of the system calls that you're missing in the browser? Thank you.
That's a really great question. And at the beginning, I mentioned a project called Mscripton, which is a compiler toolchain. And it's also a kind of a platform that gives you something like libc in the browser. So for example, your file system isn't actually a file system. It's just a big array in the browser, really. But Mscripton takes the kind of like kind of libc type system calls, that layer that you're talking about. So when CPython wants to write something to the file system, all the calls are there for you to make, and then Mscripton does the rest for you. Really, it's a shim around the browser. Any more questions? Oh, yeah, we've got two. We've got another one behind the camera, and a gentleman here at the front.
Oh, thank you for the amazing talk. I'm a data scientist, so I'm kind of new to most of this stuff. I doesn't know how a browser works. So I was wondering, as a data scientist, what kind of use cases could I foresee for PyScript? How can I, for example, I can imagine I can just write some code to build a model and then just give my client an HTML file that opens in their browser, right? But I
that's
still need to code the HTML.
Well, here's the thing. So yes, the gig before Anaconda, I was working for the UK government during COVID times, and I was an engineer on the data platform that the UK civil servants use to do all their data kind of analysis. And they basically used RStudio and Jupyter, okay? And what we found, the big stumbling block was, I've done all this analysis, now I need to share it with a minister or a senior civil servant so they could make decisions, life-changing decisions, because it was during COVID times. I need to be able to deliver the data to show the spread of COVID through the UK prison system or something like that, for instance. So PyScript is great because instead of saying to the Minister of State for the Ministry of Justice, the Lord Chancellor, okay, download Python now. Open your, no, not that, minister, no, okay, stand on one leg, stick your finger in your ear and whistle God Save the King, or whatever it is to get this thing. You don't have to do that. With PyScript, you could just point them at a URL and just embed that like you would in an email. Now, the second part of your question was, do I need to do a whole bunch of HTML to make it display? So we have built into PyScript a display function that understands images and other types of data as well. So for instance, with matplotlib, you're producing a chart of some sort. You could just do PyScript.display that chart, and you might even give it the ID of a div into which you wanted that chart to be. And PyScript, this is why we're creating PyScript, is we're providing all these utilities so that Pyodide and MicroPython have a way of very easily getting stuff into the browser. The final thing I would say is that LTK is a good example of a Pythonic UI framework that sits on top of PyScript. We also have a web and a DOM API that's probably, well, it's already in PyScript, but we're going to call it something different. That was created by Fabio Plagger, who some of you might know, Italian gentleman who was one of the founders of PyScript. He's done an incredible job. We wouldn't be here without Fabio's work. And he's created a way, a Pythonic API for you to interact with the DOM, with the kind of the HTML aspect of the browser. So you could build up your UI or start interacting with the web page from Python very easily. And the last thing I would say is that there are at least two that I know of kind of app creation frameworks that are being built at the moment. One of them I'm working on is called Invent, and another one I found out about a couple of days ago called something like PewPie or PewPie, something like that. So with these frameworks, I mean, the one I'm building is aimed at beginner coders. So you drag and drop things onto a designer. Okay, that becomes your user interface. It's a bit like Visual Basic or Delphi or HyperCard even, if you go far back enough. And it's just running in your browser, and it's very quickly giving you all the UI that you need, and you can start to write your Python code behind it and just make stuff work. So there are lots of options for you to do that. And I would also say, just to final, you're asking these questions, I would say, well, it's an open source project. If we're not doing the thing that you want it to do, come join us. Tell us where it's broken. We love pull requests, that sort of stuff, okay? Or build a framework on top of it as well. Come and play. It's a fun place to be. It's a fun place to be. We had a question here.
I was wondering, out of curiosity, if you don't mind sharing, what was the biggest technological hurdle you had to, the biggest challenge, like for you personally, while building all of this?
Okay, so for me personally, I don't think any code that I have written is actually in PyScript. That's because the thing that I did soon after I joined Anaconda was the first version of PyScript used Pyodide, and if you want to download CPython and get it to run on one of these, it was like swimming through treacle. Okay, it was slow and it wouldn't work. And I knew that if PyScript needed to have a story, it needed to have a story for every sort of browser. Now, I've worked with MicroPython in the past, and so the thing that I did is I built a very light version of PyScript, but I demonstrated all the things that we needed to get MicroPython working in the browser with that test harness. And then Web Yoda here joins the team and goes, "Ha! I see your stupid JavaScript, Nicholas," because it was terrible. You don't want to see JavaScript I've written. And he's created this incredible re-architected, small, fast, and efficient version of PyScript that allows you to use both Pyodide and MicroPython and things like that. I think as a team, I don't know about you, Andrea, I'll let you answer this in a second, but as a team, the challenge I think we have most isn't so much technical as cultural. You remember I said, if the web and Python had a baby, what would it look like? It would look like PyScript. So what we're trying to work out is which bits of the DNA is coming from Python world and which bits of the DNA is coming from the web world. And we often find ourselves going, well, you could do it asynchronously like the browser does, or you could do it synchronously like Python does, which is why we've been working a lot with web workers, so you get a choice. And we want to honor both of these sorts of parents, the heritage that we have in the project, so that somebody coming from the web looks at PyScript and goes, I understand this. Someone coming from the Python world looks at PyScript and goes, oh, I understand this as well. I don't know, what do you think, Andrea?
To me, in terms of technical challenges, it was all about using the latest APIs that were not possible before a couple of years ago, mostly because we're not broadly available. And I can name these APIs, like Atomics is the shared array buffer, which allows Atomics. So there's a lot of orchestration behind the scene to avoid blocking the browser, because the browser main concern is it should be fast and should never block or crash or stop a user, make the user incapable of dealing with a page. And so there was a lot of investigation how to make things simple. And coming from the web and JavaScript world and talking to Python people, for me everything was new. So on the web, you've seen the prompt. I've used the Windows prompt, the blocking thing synchronously on the main thread. I would have felt ashamed before PyScript to do that, because everyone knows you should never use alert, you should never use prompt. And then Antonio one day came to me and asked me, how about input? And I told him, what the hell is that? So I type input, the word stops until I finish to complete my input, and then I press return and I get my input. And I was like, yeah, we can do with prompt. and that forced us to find better solutions, because at that time Antonio and Hood, actually, that is currently maintaining Pyodide too, beside other things, they were trying a more convoluted solution that was kind of working, but then new APIs, new patterns came up, and we managed to make it tiny and working and cross-browser, and it was like, yeah, that's actually good. And so, yeah, a lot of technical challenges are in the details, but right now apparently we can reach devices, we can reach any browser. We have done memory tests, performance tests, we have done any sort of test, especially thanks to MicroPython, that actually to bootstrap even on main, it's not a problem because it's super fast, it never blocks. And then from MicroPython, you could bootstrap a Pyodide worker when you need more things like matplotlib and all the more complicated things. We haven't touched, I heard before somebody talking about AI, we haven't touched about the ability to use AI library in Python specific, because the LLM models are huge, and so we haven't investigated that. But the idea is that Python is used for everything these days, and we want to be able to provide all the simplifications from new starters to people that actually, even data scientists, are using any sort of data and they want to show it, plot it, manage it. And that's, I think, something we are getting closer and closer. And LTK also will show you that a lot of stuff is possible already. If you think something is missing, please let us know, because that's also the thing about Discord. Everyone is asking us things, and usually we're good enough to implement those things that are missing in a reasonable time.
That's actually a good point about challenges, is that, we're a fast-growing project. It was announced, and, Hacker News lit up with Python killer of, JavaScript killer, PyScript. Yeah. We're not interested in that. This is not one or the other. We're a friendly community. This is JavaScript and Python working together, okay? This is very important to state, okay? Last year at PyCon, folks from Anaconda, from the PyScript core team, we gave a whole bunch of presentations at PyCon, and that was great. Guido came up after mine, shook my hand. That was like amazing. I was like, wow, that's really great. He really enjoyed watching this, because his creation is now escaping into the world of the browser. This year, none of us in the core team actually gave any talks at PyCon, because we had 3 or 4 talks happening at PyCon from people who were actually using PyScript. So the community is growing. People are interested in it. Next year, I want folks to give talks about whatever it is that their project is, and it just so happens to be PyScript that's underneath it, okay? And PyScript has become kind of not boring, but you know what I mean? It's mature enough that people consider it as a good, rational choice for if you want to deliver, data science apps or AI sorts of things, or user interfaces for beginners, or grammar, or whatever it is that you're doing as well. So another challenge is, how do we sustain and grow that community? We're a friendly community, we're a welcoming community, and come join us on Discord is what I would say.
Okay, thank you very much. We are running a little bit out of time. I'm sorry, but that's it. you can ask after. Okay, I forget to mention that.
Why come all the way to Italy and not go and have food? I mean, it's like...
I'm counting 17.
Yeah. Okay.